Hi everyone, this is Nicole Rivera and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. Where do I find readers? Where do I find beta readers? Where do I find critique partners? Where do I find somebody to read my work? This is a question that I see all the time in all of the various writing communities online that I'm in. And I'm really quite active when it comes to helping out other writers. Even if somebody asks a question that's not in the Stop Writing Alone Facebook group or on any venue of Stop Writing Alone, if I see somebody ask a question in a writing community and it's a question that I have an answer to, I'll usually stop and respond. I'll give a comment and give a response. But this particular question of where do I find beta readers, where can I find a reader for my work, I find myself not engaging. and it's frustrating me because I want to help people, but I also know that the answer is simple but not easy, right? It's one of those things that's simple that's not easy, because what I want to say every single time I see somebody ask, where do I find beta readers, is, well, you got to stop writing alone. That's literally like all I want to say, because in the instance of the people that are within the Stop Writing Alone Happy Campers Club, for example, I think there's a number of writers that know that their beta readers could be within that group right there, depending on what work they want to share and what the other person reads. And what I find very often is that when I see a writer ask this question almost into the void in a Facebook group, or I've seen it, asked on Twitter, in spaces like this, it's kind of like the first time the writer is even reaching out into the writing world. And while that's wonderful, and I find that that's a really great space for writers to finally think, oh, maybe I should stop writing alone. I also worry that it's not soon enough, because, if you have a reader, you want to build some trust with the person that's reading and get to know each other a little bit beforehand. However, there are different levels of readers, right? There's somebody who you want to be like a critique partner. There's the people that you go to once you have an advanced reader copy, an ARC of your book. And beta readers can run the gamut. I mean, that's a huge term used for so many different things. And many people consider sensitivity readers as an offshoot of beta readers, or there's the distinction between the alpha reader and the beta reader, and some people sort of blur the lines on that. But here's the thing that I just want to discuss with everybody about finding readers and looking for that person that can serve you and your writing in the right way. I'm not entirely sure when people ask this question in a Facebook group if they're asking, will you be my beta reader, someone out there in this writing community? Or I do believe some people ask the question in a way to say, where do you find beta readers, and can you point me in the right direction? And I don't feel like there's one perfect spot that you can point to for people and say, oh, look, that's the beta reader website. Head on over, submit your work, and you'll get a reader in 5 to 10 days. Like, I don't think that exists right now. So I do feel like you really are in a position where you need to develop relationships with either fellow writers or readers. And that comes from community. It just comes from community. And I've mentioned it a couple of times here. I'm writing the Stop Writing Alone book right now, and one of the things that I've been doing in the last week or so is researching other people's work on writing about building community and what that means and what, how we define these things. And I found a really great article from a space called Redefining Communities. And the article said, are you creating a group or a community? And I love this because I often use the words writing group and writing community interchangeably. But I do recognize that there's a difference. And in this particular article, the line was drawn and I loved it. I was like, aha, this is what I have been thinking. And so a group, according to like definition, if you just like look in a dictionary, it's just a number of people or things that are brought together, either because they're located together, or they're classed together, or, you're just gathered together. It's just sort of like it just happens. Whereas community is something that is really built. And I just want to read for you real quick the definition that the ladies over at Redefining Communities made up. And this is Emma McCarthy and Naomi Hathaway. And what they said is a community is a self-sustaining group of individuals who share concern for each other, will take action to actively support another, and take the knowledge and encouragement they've received from their community out into the world. And that definition is so sings to me. I mean, that's exactly what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for that self-sustaining model. I always want to see the people that I work with finding a way to connect with each other, even if I'm not there. I like to see that encouragement, that sharing of the knowledge. And the end goal is, yes, please bring this all out into the world, right? And so I feel like if you either created or found community, either in writing or in reading, that you wouldn't have to step out and say, where do I find beta readers? So this is, circling back, like I was saying, I feel like the people in the Happy Campers, it's a small community, but it's a community nonetheless. I feel like there's at least some sense of comfort that you could ask somebody within the community to be a beta reader. And I know those conversations have already happened in previous camps, but I think that's because it's community and not necessarily a group. So what happens on Facebook or Twitter or all of these different social media platforms is that we have a lot of groups. We have a lot of gatherings of people who are writers, a lot of gatherings of people who are readers. We can get really specific and niche-y there. You could be like, this is a gathering of people who only read fantasy or YA fantasy. I know these people like the stuff that I'm reading, right? But is it a community? Is it a group of people that are there to really support one another, or are you just like a fandom? To make a community or find a community, it takes a little bit more than just being there. And I've mentioned this before, particularly when sharing on Clubhouse with the Stop Dreaming Alone crew, because that too, we're always talking about how to find your people, how to make a community. The first thing you do is show up. And that's, that's the group. You make sure you show up in the spaces where your people are. And anybody that's in the Stop Writing Alone Facebook group, or you're in any other social media groups that are in your writing niche or what have you, if you're showing up, you've completed step 1. But you can't fully commit to a writing community until you take some further action. And one thing that I advise people all the time is that when you're in these groups, is to start engaging, start really connecting, not just with like the post from the person who runs the group, but engage within the comments with the other people that are there. Because it's only when you start to really start making those connections one-on-one that you will build a level of trust that leads to that, you're supporting one another. You want to encourage one another. You get to know each other a little bit more than just, the avatars on the page. And I feel like that's the kind of work that happens that helps you not have to ask the question, where do I find beta readers? Right? Because if you were in the trenches and connecting with, the other person that's always showing up and they're always there and writing comments, if you started to get to know them and they got to get to know you, at some point you would exchange the normal next level of connection and say, like, I'm writing, you're writing. Should we exchange work? I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I feel like, especially when I read this article about the group versus the community, it was like a little light bulb for me. I was like, this is the distinction that I think not too many people are making, or they don't realize they need to make. You get into a writing group, you feel like, I've done it, I've stopped, I'm not writing alone anymore. How come I'm not getting all of this added support? Where is this coming from? It does take some personal action to sort of step it up, get in the game, and not just be grouped with other people that are, similar to you or doing the same thing as you. You've got to really engage to build community, or just to be a part of community. Somebody else might have done all the building. You may have found a group that is truly engaging. Well, make sure you're in those conversations. Just step in, take your place, take your space in there, and start connecting with the people that are there. To me, that's the real answer of, where do I find my readers? Where do I find beta readers? Because again, I'm talking all about writing groups, but you could be doing the same thing with various groups of readers, book clubs. There's loads of groups on Facebook that are, full of voracious readers. I mean, I'm in a number of Facebook groups and following pages that are all surrounding either some of those subscription book boxes like Owl Crate, which is all YA books. So you would find people there that just love to read young adult books, right? You could even follow, a group about following an author that you like. If you're into mystery, and follow a mystery author, and you'll find the fans, the people that love to read that kind of story. Start to engage with the other people in the group. See if you couldn't build a community of readers. But yeah, book clubs are just a real easy space to do that, whether it's a local book club that you have or one of these virtual ones. But I do think that the people that are asking, where do I find my readers, are people that really have not yet found community. And if you can find community and not just the groups, that your readers will be all around you, and then it'll just be that social anxiety of like asking that person that you've been cool with, and be, that inner voice. Maybe this is just me, but that inner voice will be like, oh no, when I ask them this, they'll stop talking to me. It's like so ridiculous, even when I say it out loud. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I love that. Redefining Communities. I will put a link to their website, but that's it. It's redefiningcommunities.com. They have a bunch of different articles on communities, building communities, leading communities. And I do think, as Stop Writing Alone, it is my duty to share all of this information with you, because I want you to be able to create or find the community that's the best fit for you. And I think they have some really great advice there. And I mean, brace yourself. You're going to be getting more of this stuff from me as I keep doing my reading and my research on all things building community. But that's a first. It's a small little resource that is really helpful. And if you're looking for readers, whatever level of reader, I think that's a great first step. But that's it for me this week. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you've been getting your writing done. And I hope that you've been forgiving of yourself when you haven't necessarily gotten all your writing done, because we are all human and we have to juggle it all. And whatever you didn't get done this week, you'll get done next week. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So until next week, happy writing. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page, or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter, where I'm at NV_Rivera, to find links to our email newsletter.